Welcome to one of the biggest crossover events in Power Ranger and Kamen Rider fanfiction history, with almost 30 storylines crossing over. These storylines are written and read to you guys across multiple platforms and given to you by the Three Ranger Bros Studios, which is hosted by Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, Cosplay Dude 637, and myself, Ty Tiger. So prepare to dive into a storyline that not only crosses over all these stories, but hosts a threat that is willing to take down the entire multiverse as we know it. Let us begin. Rangers and Riders unite. War for the Multiverse. Prologue. In Universe 19, the Ultra Rangers sat in the juice bar, all chilling out, after a session of martial arts and gymnastic trainings with the youngsters of Angel Grove. "Man, I am so beat," Zack sighed. "They're teenagers, not Rita's army," Kimberly mocked.
"Hey, ease off him, Kim. Xander has been running him around the place since he got his arm fixed,"
Jason said. "Oh yeah, and Billy, how did the arm go?" Cece asked. "Haley seems to be doing good with it," Billy noted. "I'm just glad he had you there, to be honest," Trini said sadly. "Yeah, I was glad to help," Billy nodded. "It's nuts to think about, isn't it? We went through Rita, Zed, the Machine Army, then we went our separate ways, and then we've had our lives to live for a while, and then here we are once again, and nothing like losing an arm has happened to us," Tommy said with a hint of ponder. "Alright, Sensei, please unload your wisdom onto us," Haley mocked. Everyone burst out laughing. Suddenly, their laughter was cut short by their communicators beeping. Jason looked around and noticed that the gym and juice bar had emptied over the last couple of minutes, and Ernie was in the back of the building. Jason pressed the answer button.
"What's up, Zordon?"
Jason asked in a hushed tone.
"We have a problem, Rangers. It's something I cannot yet describe,"
Zordon replied. "We're on our way," Tommy stated. They all stood up and pressed their communicators, and they all teleported out of the gym and juice bar, and appeared in the marketplace. They stood there and gazed upon an enemy. The civilians ran away in complete fear. The Ultra Rangers stood there stunned at the view. The Zeo Green Ranger stood there, but it was grey, faded, dull, like all colour and life was drained from it. The faded Zeo Ranger held a young woman in its grip. He lifted the woman off her feet, and red, blue and yellow energy drained out of her, ripping out of the woman's body, absorbing into the Zeo Ranger. The woman's skin and muscles burnt away, leaving nothing but a skeleton. The grey, faded Zeo Ranger threw the skeleton to one side. "Did you guys just see that?" Billy gasped. "Yeah, we saw it, man. That was freaky," Zap muttered. "We have to stop it. Whoever it is," Kimberly muttered, trying not to shed a tear.
"Guys, keep your emotions in check. Beat him. Then we can get emotional about what we just witnessed,"
Jason barked. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then they all lined up ready.
"It's morphing time!"
Green Leviathan,
Silver Finra,
White Phoenix,
Black Chimera,
Pink Griffin,
Blue Kraken,
Yellow Pegahorn,
Red Dragon!
The faded Zeo Ranger turned to the Ultra Rangers. The Ultra Rangers ran at the faded Zeo Ranger. The Black Ranger jumped up and swung his foot. The faded Zeo Ranger caught the Black Ranger's ankle and slammed him into the ground. A small amount of the Ultra Green energy siphoned off the Black Ranger and channeled into the faded Zeo Ranger. The pink Ultra Ranger slid across the ground and kicked the Zeo Ranger in the stomach. Then she flipped up onto her feet before she swung a fist. The Zeo Ranger dodged the punch and dodged another. Then it grabbed one of the Pink Ranger's punches. Then he caught her other fist. Then he headbutted her. A small amount of Ultra Grid energy siphoned from the Pink Ranger's wrists into the faded Zeo Ranger's hands. Then he jumped up and kneed the Pink Ranger in the helmet, knocking her off her feet. The Silver and Yellow Rangers struck at the same time. The faded Zeo Ranger blocked both strikes. Then he grabbed the Silver Ranger's shoulders and siphoned some of her Ultra Grid energy, before kneeing her repeatedly in the stomach. Then he threw her into the Yellow Ranger. The White Ranger came in hard, throwing multiple jabs over and over. The Red Ranger jumped behind him and slammed his foot into the Zeo Ranger and the Zeo Ranger dropped to his knees. The Red Ranger summoned his Ultra Sword, and the White Ranger summoned Ultra Saba, and both Rangers slashed the fallen Zeo Ranger multiple times, till it dropped to all fours. The Blue Ranger ran up and hit the Zeo Ranger with its Ultra Trident. Then the Green Ranger burst out of the ground and hit the Faded Ranger with a flurry of Ultra Dragon Strikes. The Rangers all gathered around and watched as the badly beaten Faded Ranger climbed to its feet. The Faded Zeo Ranger held out its hand, and a spark of rainbow light formed and turned into a quasar saber. It appeared in its hands. The blade was rippling with rainbow energy. The Galactic Beast insignia was unrecognizable, and the handle and cross guards were all gold and covered in burn marks. "Oh great, he has a sword," the Black Ranger barked in disbelief.
Rangers, keep on your guard.
The Red Ranger commanded. All the Ultra Rangers ran at the Faded Zeo Ranger. He swung his Rainbow Saber and slashed down the Green Ranger and kicked the Black Ranger back. He flipped over the Blue Ranger as he landed. He slashed the Blue Ranger. As the Blue Ranger dropped to his knees, he grabbed the Blue Ranger by the throat and siphoned off some of the Ultra Grid out of the Ranger. The Blue Ranger called out in agony as his powers were ripped out of him. The other Rangers ran at the Faded Ranger. He let go of the Blue Ranger and held his hands up. The Ultra Grid energy built up into his hand and combusted into pure blue flames that he threw at the Ultra Rangers, charging at them. They were all hit with the blue flames, each one being thrown back by the attack. Then the Faded Ranger teleported and appeared right above the Silver Ranger. He swung his foot and stomped her onto the ground. Then he teleported again and appeared before the Red Ranger and slashed the Red Ranger multiple times. Then he teleported away and teleported before the Green Ranger. He grabbed her and siphoned some of the Ultra Grid energy from her. He teleported again with the Green Ranger in hand. He teleported above the Blue Ranger and threw the Green Ranger into the Blue Ranger, both of them crashing to the ground. The Faded Zeo Ranger teleported back into the center. The Rangers all picked themselves up and regrouped. "Great! How do we beat this thing?" the Green Ranger grunted.
Maybe we should retreat.
The Red Ranger suggested. "This thing can suck God knows what out of people, and you want to retreat?" the Black Ranger barked. "Well, maybe you just need a bit of backup," a voice called out. The weakened Rangers turned around to see two people stood behind them, Aisha and Adam. "Guys, what are you doing here?" the White Ranger asked. "Oh, the big guy that called us in," Adam replied. "Let's mop this guy," Aisha chuckled. They both stepped forward and held out their Ultramorphers. "Golden Cerberus!" Adam barked. "Purple Harpy!" Aisha called out. In a spark of gold and purple light, the golden purple Ultra Rangers stood before the rest of the team. The Ultra Rangers all lined up, and for the first time ever, all 10 Ultra Rangers teamed up against their foe. "Let's get this done," the Gold Ranger called out. Then all 10 Ultra Rangers ran at the Faded Zeo Ranger. The Faded Zeo Ranger showed no emotion, no signs of life. Its body didn't even twitch. It was a motionless warrior with a rainbow quasar saber in hand. The Red Ranger swung his sword and became locked in a sword clash with the Faded Zeo Ranger. The Pink Ranger kept at distance and fired her Ultra Arrows, which struck the Faded Ranger several times. The Green Ranger and the Black Ranger came in and slashed the Faded Ranger with their Ultra Dagger and Ultra Axe. The Zeo Ranger staggered, allowing the Red Ranger to push forward, knocking the sword out of its hand. Then he slashed the Zeo Ranger a couple times with his sword. The Silver Ranger lashed out her whip, which wrapped round the Faded Ranger's neck, and she pulled him off his feet. The Gold Ranger jumped into the air with his Ultra Cetuses and slammed his gloved light fists into the Zeo Ranger, which caused him to bounce off the floor. The Blue Ranger appeared below the Ranger with his trident in hand and rabbed the trident up, striking the back of the Faded Ranger, which now was in midair. Then he swung the Ranger around and flung him across the marketplace. The Purple Ranger appeared before it and slashed the Ranger with her Ultra Talons. A flurry of Harpy-like attacks hit the Zeo Ranger, then the Purple Ranger kicked the Faded Zeo Ranger back. The White Ranger appeared before it and slashed down with Ultra Saba, knocking it back. The Yellow Ranger appeared and struck the Faded Zeo Ranger in the chest with her saber daggers, and at the same time she stabbed the tip of her pegacorn-like blades into the square visor of the Ranger's helmet. The visor cracked. She pulled the dagger out and she looked inside the helmet. There was nothing. The Yellow Ranger stood there in complete shock and awe. Fear somewhat shivered through her as she stared into a dark void of absolute nothing. There was nothing there. No person or being under the Ranger's suit. There was pure darkness, a void of lifeless, empty darkness. The Faded Zeo Ranger took a step back and teleported away. The Ultra Rangers all regrouped, and the Yellow Ranger, who stood there with a heavy breath and a shimmer of fear that she could not shake. The team, including Adam and Aisha, all stood in the command center talking to Shinon and Zordon.
Thank you, Aisha and Adam, for coming to the Rangers' aid when we contacted you. I believe your appearance equalized the battle.
Zordon told them. Hey, no problem, Zordon, Aisha said with a weak smile. Zordon, what even was that thing? Adam asked.
I wish I had an answer, but sadly I do not. It was not evil, but it was not good. It was empty.
Zordon explained.
Got any secrets you want to share, Shinon? This seems to be when you would reveal something.
Jason sniped.
Jason, I promise I am just as clueless as my brother, but as we talk now, I can feel another being similar to the one you just fought.
Shinon told them. Aye! I can confirm this, Alpha squealed. The screen showed a map, and the map showed several dots blinking. The whole team shared a worried glance as they knew people in specific locations on the screen. Shinon suddenly dropped to the floor, clenching her head. When she looked up at the team, they all swarmed around her.
Calling all heroes and fans of the extraordinary. Get ready to morph into a world of fanfiction like never before. I am CosplayDude637, and I'm here to tell you about Power Rangers Universe 19. Picture this. Ultra Rangers defending the universe, Cyberforce Rangers navigating the digital frontier, and the high-flying adventures of the Power Rangers Skyforce. But that's just the beginning. We've got Kamen Rider Wizard conjuring magic, Kamen Rider...
Universe 19 is no more.
In Stone Canyon, Jacob sat there feeling rather defeated. He had contained the most recent threat, but his powers were depleted still. He had tried a few times to henshin, but he had always failed. He sat there in front of Alistair, as he helped out a customer in the store. Yes, this is an old vase. It had been handcrafted by the late Jim Sim Sass, who was believed to be a Yeti hunter, Alistair told the customer. Jacob rolled his eyes at the two of them chatting away. The customer brought the vase and then left the store. Do you have to be so goddamn chirpy? Jacob asked. And just because you have gotten yourself in such a downer, why does that mean I have to follow suit? Alistair said with a little grin. Oh, shut up, Jacob grunted, placing his head on the counter and sighing long and hard. I got you. You're upset that Stephanie is tackling a new attack, and you're sat here with me, Alistair asked. Why are you loving this so much? Jacob snapped, sitting up and glaring at him. 'Cause you've not figured it out yourself yet, young Jacob, Alistair chuckled. What? What haven't I figured out? Jacob said overdramatically. The only thing in this world right now stopping you from turning into the great Kamen Rider Wizard is yourself, Alistair said, prodding his index finger into Jacob's forehead. Ow! What are you saying, that it's all mental? Jacob asked. Pretty much, yes, Alistair nodded. They all ducked down behind the counter, and then he popped back up with a new ring. Jacob had not seen the ring before. Hey, what's this? Jacob asked. You need to remember why you're doing this, and forget the fact that in the line of duty, you drained out so much of your power you became powerless. For a while. Like everything in life, it's natural, and your consistent down-in-the-dumps attitude is the reason why it has continued, Alistair told him, handing him the new ring. Jacob took the ring and examined it. It was the rider face, like the rest of his wizard's rings. This one was silver and had a crystal light going through the main hull of the ring. The side of the ring had silver wing plated. This is actually kind of cool, Jacob muttered. Alistair walked away, patting Jacob on the back as he walked past him, leaving Jacob there alone with his own thoughts. He stared at the ring, gazing into the crystal-like essence of it. Then there was a flash of light. He turned around, and he was now in a plain white void. He looked around and saw Kamen Rider Wizard laying on the floor. He walked up to the Kamen Rider, who lay there motionless. Okay, now I'm confused. I thought you were me, Jacob questioned. Oh, I am, Wizard sighed. Oh, this is some conscious dude what's it, right? Gotcha, Jacob sighed, looking around. Just leave me here. Forget about me, Wizard muttered. Why? We're heroes, man. We save people, Jacob told the Kamen Rider. But you gave up, Kamen Rider Wizard replied. No, I didn't. I just got drained. We got drained. What if it happens again? When Stephanie really needs us? Or Alistair? Or hell, when the world needs us? Now that can happen, can't it? And that scares me, okay? Jacob admitted. But we got you, Stephanie, Alistair, the other riders. We have got you, Wizard replied. I guess I never saw it as other people having my back, okay? I mean, I know I work with Beast, but I've always felt like that I have to do the defending. I have to fight the fight head on. Save everyone. I guess I should just accept the fact that I ain't no god, and I should rely on people more often. Jacob sighed. Then suddenly, a lion's roar filled the air. Whoa, what was that? Jacob asked, confused. Beast needs us. I think you understand the lesson here? You are right, by the way. You had to learn the value of relying on others, like Beast is relying on someone coming to our aid right now, Wizard told him. Wizard raised his hand up, and Jacob grabbed onto Wizard's hand and pulled him to his feet. As Wizard stood, he faded away. Strangest conversation with myself ever? Jacob sighed. Then there was a flash of white light again. Alistair walked back into the room. So, Chinese for dinner, or, Alistair stopped as he saw the empty room and the door slowly closing in on itself. Go get him, kid, Alistair grinned. Kamen Rider Beast was thrown across the quarry. She hit the ground hard. Kamen Rider Beast stood up and she grunted in pain. Before her was a Power Ranger. It looked like the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, but it was faded, dull in colour, almost grey. The Ranger did not speak. It showed no sign of emotion or body language, but it was incredibly strong. The faded Mastodon Ranger had a rainbow Quasar Saber. Kamen Rider Beast stood there in her base form. She already used one of her forms, yet it did not give her the advantage in the fight. The Mastodon Ranger ran at the Beast. The Beast grabbed the blade of the rainbow-lit saber, and the strength of the faded Ranger pushed her back. She kneed the Ranger in the side, but that made no impact. She lifted the Ranger up and flipped the Ranger over her head, slamming him into the ground. The Ranger quickly found his feet and swung its saber at Beast. Beast turned around to face the Ranger. She crossed her wrist to block the attack. Kamen Rider Beast was hit several times by the faded Ranger. She slid across the ground, grunting in pain. The faded Mastodon Ranger lunged at Kamen Rider Beast, when suddenly someone landed in front of her, before the faded Ranger blocking the attack. Sorry to butt in, the figure called out. It was Kamen Rider Wizard. His helmet, chest, shoulder pads, and hips, shins, ankles, and forearms were like bright blue crystal. The rest of his silk was silver, with black underlayer showing his arms, legs, and feet. His helmet had a square-like metal wing plates on the side, which mirrored the ring on his finger. Jacob? Kamen Rider Beast called out. Call me Kamen Rider Wizard. Infinity! Kamen Rider Wizard barked. I love the new form, Beast chuckled as she stood next to him. Let's show this Power Ranger what is what, Wizard replied. Beast nodded, and both Kamen Riders dropped into their fighting stances. The faded Mastodon Ranger ran at them, unfazed by Kamen Rider Wizard's new form. Beast and Wizard both fell into a dance of trading blows and blocking and dodging attacks. Beast slammed her fist into his chest, making him stagger backwards. Then Beast kicked him off his feet. Wizard backflipped over and over again till he made some distance between himself and the faded Mastodon Ranger. He placed his ring over his rider belt. There was a glow rippling off his ring. He then jumped up and threw a kick forward. His foot became engulfed in light that took the form of a dragon's head. Kamen Rider Wizard flew at the faded Ranger. They hit it with the dragon head kick. The dragon opened its mouth and snapped the Mastodon Ranger and pushed it back. The Wizard gliding through the air, the Kamen Rider crashed the Power Ranger into a stone wall, the wall cracking and crumbling due to the massive amount of the power-filled impact. The Kamen Rider's dragon kick dispersed, and Wizard backflipped till he landed next to Beast. Now that was awesome, Beast cheered. Thanks. New form, new kick, new attitude, Wizard chimed, wiping his hand down his new form with a cocky attitude. Both riders looked over at the ranger, who stood and pulled himself out of the wall. He stood there like nothing had happened. "You've got to be kidding me!" Wizard barked. His new form was fantastic. He could feel the power waning though. His new form took a lot out of him, and he just executed his new rider kick, which took a big chunk of his power away. Before anyone could move, suddenly a portal opened. They turned around and saw the Red Ultra Ranger step out.
Kamen Rider Wizard, Kamen Rider Beast, I need you both to come with me. We have an urgent matter to attend to.
The Red Ultra Ranger barked. Both the Kamen Riders looked at each other rather confused. They both turned to look at the faded Master Ranger, then back at the Red Ultra Ranger. "Got it," Wizard nodded. Both Kamen Rider Wizard and Kamen Rider Beast jumped into the portal, and the Red Ultra Ranger followed them. They stepped into some form of base, with a big tube that housed a white floating head, and a small robot standing next to it, and a woman who looked like she was in pain.
Welcome to the command center,
the Red Ultra Ranger said to them. Then the Red Ultra Ranger demorphed. Kamen Rider Beast let out a small gasp as she recognized Jason. Jason walked up to Kamen Rider Wizard.
Wizard, I know you work with my cousin Stephanie. I have to know. Is she safe, or did she also fall under those Fadenizers?
Jason asked the Kamen Rider Wizard. Wizard mumbled, trying to find the words to answer the question. Kamen Rider Beast stepped forward and demorphed. Stephanie stood before Jason, and Jason's mouth dropped wide open. "Hey, cuz," Stephanie said with a slight chuckle.
You're Kamen Rider Beast?
Jason snapped. "Hey, do not start on me. Someone here forgot to mention your Red Ultra Ranger." Stephanie barked back. Jason lowered his responsive attitude. He knew she had a point. Instead, they hugged each other, and Jason welcomed his cousin to the command center. In the land of time and space, William Cranston, a being with multiversal powers, a member of a group of defenders called the Mysteries, whose job was to collect champion heroes who were Power Rangers for a war destined to happen, stood on his rock platform that floated in a void of purple and black. He stood before his portal monitors, which he used to monitor his champions across the multiverse. He could feel something was wrong. Something with no emotion, no life, something was afoot. He looked at his champions and their allies, and something big was at their doorstep. Takeshi, another mystery, who was in the process of collecting champions who were Kamen Riders, lived across on another rock platform neighbouring Williams. He too had the same feeling. With one big leap, he jumped over to Williams' platform, and he walked up to William. "Yes, I know something is going wrong. Something's happening. We must find out what." William hushed. "Should we include the others? Maybe bring in the boss?" Takeshi asked. "No. It is time for our champions to officially meet. For our defenders and our chosen champions to finally work together." William sighed. "Are you sure? Is it not a part of the scheduled plan, though?" Takeshi hissed. "Our plan? Our plan is out the window. We need to create a countermeasure now. You can feel it just like I can. Whatever is happening, it is life-ending. It's world-destroying. It's universe-killing, and it threatens everything. Everything we have built up to now. Our champions are on their own path, and we have made allies who will defend their universes when we need them for the multiverse. But this, right now, we need this threat over with." William growled. Takeshi nodded, and they both got to work. William raised a hand. All the chessboards moved to one side. His eyes turned all white, and a new long silver chessboard appeared. All the pieces appeared as well. The white symbolized the Power Rangers and Kamen Riders and their allies. The black pieces did not have a shape. They were constantly wavering and warping, as their enemy was still unknown at the current time, and moved like a flame of a candle. Takeshi landed next to William again. "Let us start with Universe 19. A lot of our champions' allies are there. We do have some champions there too, of course. Plus, one of our main resources are there. Use your ghost avatar to get tied to Angel Grove. I will contact Shinon," William stated. "That's a good idea," Takeshi nodded. Takeshi dropped to a meditation position and projected his astral projection avatar. William looked at the portal monitor that showed Universe 19. His eyes turned all white, and once again he reached out to Shinon's mind. "Shinon, I know you can hear me. You must gather everyone. The multiverse is in trouble. A war is coming." William said. Shinon suddenly dropped to the floor, clenching her head. Then she looked up at the team as they swarmed around her. Are you okay? Kimberly asked.
We must gather our allies, the Rangers and the Riders, around the world. We are in trouble. War is coming, and the multiverse is at stake.
Shinon hushed. Her words brought worry and dread to the Ultra Rangers.